we'll discuss about non-linear editing. It will generally have three stages if it is a television production: pre-production, production, and post-production. Generally, in the pre-production, we plan everything before going for the shooting. Yes, that is the planning stage, initial stage of any production. That is pre-production stage, and the production stage starts when you are recording a film or maybe a video for your television production. So from the switching on and recording button to till whatever you are recording is called a shot. So different shots are recorded during the shooting stage. Shots which we are recording on a videotape or maybe using a memory card or any other electronic device which you are using for recording the film, or maybe if it is a television program. After the shooting stage, generally a log sheet is prepared in the post-production stage. So based on the log sheet, generally you edit the film or maybe a television program. So post production is the third stage of any television production. It starts with the beginning of editing of a film and ends with exporting the file for any kind of transmission. So whether it is a DVD or CD, or if it is going to be transmitted for the audience in live, etc., whatever it may be, that is the end of any project when it is being transmitted for the audience. Whatever may be the editing in the post production stage, generally we edit the film or maybe a video production. So if you see a television production, generally different kinds of shots are recorded at different points of time using different kinds of cameras from different locations, etc. Keeping all those cameras, whether it is a single camera production or maybe a multi-camera production, you are recording the shots in the shooting stage, and that is going to be edited in the post-production stage. So many of the offline programs, as you already know, whether it is an online program or online program, when a program is transmitted in live, that is called online program. A program when it is been recorded at one point of time, and that is when it is transmitted for the audience later, it is called as a offline program. So many of the single camera productions are offline based kind of productions, and sometimes if it is a field production, when you are using multi-camera productions, etc., whether if it is not a live kind of program, then that is also a offline based program. But many of the cricket match or any other sports matches, etc., all those are events which are multi-camera productions, but they are on live. But some of the programs which are not live, generally depending on your budget, you may be planning a program. But if it is a offline program, generally it starts with preparing a log sheet. So as you already know, earlier we used to use DVs, a cassette which we used to record for the program. So tape-based kind of recordings used to take place. That is called VTR, video tape recorder, where we used to insert a cassette and there we used to record the film. But nowadays, with the technology available, we are using memory cards and any other devices to record the film. Time code is automatically generates by the camera when you are recording a film or any video program, which is divided into number of hours, minutes, seconds, and the frames. So in that format, a time code is been recorded when you are recording a video footage on a tape or maybe in any other format. So these time codes are as automatically recorded on the video footage. Based on that, you have to prepare your log sheet. So log sheet prepared based on the time code. Log sheet is will give you the description of each shot which is recorded on the tape. So suppose if a tape records 3 hours duration of the time footage, generally all the 3 hours will have their own time code. So each shot will have its own beginning, like hours, minutes, seconds, or maybe a number of frames. So in that format, each shot is being recorded. So here when you are preparing a log sheet, generally based on looking at the tape, so you may be having different video players where you have to insert the DVs and you have to play back the whole DV, and that you have to mark the time codes of each shot. So based on that, you are preparing a log sheet. So log sheet will contain the description of each shot, the duration of the shot, the beginning time code of each shot, and the end time code of each shot. So based on that, again, when you are editing the film, that will be going to help the director or the editor to edit the film or a video project. So why you edit? If you see a television program, the way it is not been recorded on the tapes. So each shot is recorded at different point of time, and if you see the screen, suppose if it is a film, generally a climax scene can be recorded in the beginning of the shooting, and the first opening scene of a particular film can be recorded at the end of the shooting. So in that way, different shots are recorded at different points of time, and all those rushes are brought to the edit suite and where the editing takes place. So based on, generally, if you see any film or any television program, it will have a beginning, middle, and also the end. So based on the narration of your story, whatever you have, based on that you have to arrange your rushes. So rushes are nothing but the raw footage which you have already recorded using a camera. Generally, the raw footage will have with the video, it will also have the ambience or the audio which is recorded on the location. Suppose if it is a ENG kind of thing, you may be using different kinds of microphones, and you may get the audio without much noise. But if it is a film kind of production, there are the unit members, hundreds of people who are working on the sets to produce a film. So in those kind of cases, there is a lot of noise which is recorded along with the video. So in those cases, in the editing stage, again you have to re-record the audio. So in the post-production stage, why you have to do the editing is nothing but to arrange the raw footage or the rushes or the shots which you have recorded using different kinds of cameras, to arrange those shots in a sequence to tell a story for the audience. So timeline, sequence, etc. is same. So a sequence may contain different scenes, and different scenes may contain different shots, and different shots may have different kinds of angles, and the duration of each shot may be different from one shot to another shot. So generally, the post production is nothing but where you are editing and exporting the film, and at the same time you are going to transmit the program for the audience. So the editing, distribution, promotion of the film, everything is being part of the post production. So if it is a single camera production, as you already know, single camera productions where you are using only a single camera, many of the documentary producers or film producers generally use single camera, and many of the low budget films also may use single camera to record a film or maybe to record a video program. So in those kind of cases, if it is a serial or a film, then the single camera is moved physically from one place to another place, and the same action is performed by the actor or actresses or the talent, etc. And the same thing is being recorded multiple times by moving the camera to from one angle to another angle, or from one place to another place. So in the editing stage, generally the single shot, if you want to portray for the audience, etc., then different shots, while when you are using the camera, moving the camera from different angles, that is been mixed and arranged in the timeline. So suppose if it is a multi-camera production, generally where you are using multiple cameras at a time to record the same event. So the multiple cameras enables us to record the same shot from different angles. In PCR production control room, you have vision mixer or video mixer, etc. So the vision mixer will be getting the output from different cameras, and that will enable us to choose the different visuals of the camera, and that is going to be filmed or recorded on the tape for the final editing. So whether it is a single camera production or multi-camera production, editing will be same. So editing is nothing but you are arranging the shots in the sequence in a order to tell a story for the audience. Why we edit a film? First thing is to change the duration of the film. Suppose a film is maybe for 1.5 hours, etc. If you want to increase the duration of the film, etc., you have to edit the film to increase the duration of the film. And sometimes to reduce the duration of your film also, you have to edit, which means you have to cut different shots, unnecessary shots, whatever you think, and you have to reduce the duration of the film. Then the other important aspect is to join the different shots which you have recorded. So disjointed shots of the film to keep in a way to arrange them to tell a story, etc. In those cases also you have to edit the film, or to edit or to delete the unwanted footage which is not needed for your final production, etc. That is also been done in the editing stage. Then to reveal new information. Generally, different shots may not contain the same scene or same action by the talent. So to add new information, to add new scene or a sequence or maybe a shot, etc., you need to edit the film. And sometimes to deliberately change the perception of the audience also, you have to edit, you have to add different kinds of shots and different kinds of audio to tell a different kind of maybe story for the audience. To create interest among the audience also, a film needs to be edited. So that is the importance of editing. Otherwise, the rushes or the raw footage cannot tell a story. As then there are different kinds of things we have to keep in mind while you are editing a film, that is called edit grammar. Generally, there are different elements like video transitions we use. Along with that, there is something called visual grammar. There are 6 elements in that. One is motivation, second one is information, third one is composition, fourth is sound, next one is camera angle, and then is a continuity. So then, if you see the motivation for part of any edit, generally the different characters who are playing different roles in the film, etc., they are maybe moving from one place to another place, or some action is going to take place in that shooting day, etc. While when you are editing, the motivation for the editor, the director, is to join different kinds of shots. So what is the motivation of your edit? So it has to have some impact on the audience, and it should have to create some kind of interest among the audience. So you have to cut in between the shots in a way which will motivate the audience to see your film. The second one is information. Generally, when you are joining two or more shots, etc., of which you have recorded at different points of time to tell the story. Generally, any new shot, when you are adding to the existing shot in your timeline, etc., the new shot will have to add new information. Otherwise, the scenes viewers will not have any interest to see those kind of scenes or the shots. So a new shot should add some kind of value or some kind of information to the existing shot. For example, if you see a construction worker who is maybe working in a field where the construction is happening, suppose she is carrying some bricks on the head. Generally, while carrying the bricks on the construction shot, it can be a long shot, and maybe putting down the bricks somewhere, etc. That can be a next shot, and the close up of the bricks or close up of the emotion of the character may be a next shot, which means the three shots have to be arranged in that way, otherwise it will not have any impact. Suppose if from the beginning to the end of the shot, if it is a single long shot, then it will not have any interest. It will not create any interest among the audience. So each shot when you are joining on the timeline, etc., the different shot when you are using that should have some kind of new information. It should have some new information when you compare with the other shot. Then composition. Generally, already you know composition, where you have to how you have to compose the shot. What are the elements you are keeping in the within the frame. So whatever maybe you have recorded, but when it comes to editing of the shots, generally there is also another composition. So the disjointed shots or different shots have to be arranged, composed in a way during the editing, etc., that will have some kind of that will have to create some kind of interest among the audience. So if you are using a different shot when you compare with the previous shot, etc., abruptly you cannot use a different shot. So cutting from one shot to another shot, there should be a kind of transition. So that will have to tell a kind of continuation story for the audience. Otherwise, the audience will lose their interest in the film. So the second shot cannot be a different one when you compare with the previous one. So in that way, you have to edit the film. Then sound. If you see a film, etc., generally, if there is no suitable sound, generally it will not have much impact on the audience. For example, if you see in our department, generally, if there is no light, etc., if somebody is maybe working with the sounds, so what happens? Because without sound, you cannot imagine anything. So the visuals in the dark cannot convey any story. But if it is dark and if you are able to hear some sounds, etc., that will convey a different kind of story. So any story generally, along with the visuals, you need to have a suitable sound so that the viewers will understand your perspective. So the right kind of music have to be added for your visuals. Seen within a restaurant, for example, if you take, the viewers may should be able to hear the same audio when you compare with the previous shot. For example, long shot of a restaurant should have the same music. Again, maybe the person waiter when he is taking the order, etc., should have the same music. And when the conversation is going on within the hotel, between the subjects, etc., should have the same music. For example, a car when you are driving also should have the driving sound along with the conversation, etc. So otherwise the audience will lose their interest in the film. So sound is also an important aspect when you compare with the visuals. Then camera angle. So here, cameras are placed at different angles when already during the recording stage itself. But when you are arranging the shots, for example, a shot which is taken maybe keeping a camera above the building, etc. For example, traffic. Generally, the next shot cannot be a shot within the house, etc. So in those ways you have to arrange your shots. So the scenes or the camera angles when you are changing from one shot to another shot, it should not be abrupt. Then continuity. Generally, there must be continuity in the story. Along with that, there should be a continuity in the content. There should be a continuity of the movement by the characters who are playing different roles. There must be continuity in the position. So each shot, when you are joining different shots in the timeline, each shot will have some information that is going to be conveyed for the audience. So there must be content continuity in when you are joining the shots. For example, if you take a shot in the school, generally the children are playing in the school. Wide shot can be a school, second shot can be the children when they are playing in the surroundings. The third shot can be a close up of the children, the reactions, etc. So there must be continuity in the content which you are when you are joining the different shots. Then continuity of the moment. Generally, the editors should see there should be a continuity in the moment. For example, somebody is walking towards arts college. Generally, a long shot can be the building and the person who is walking. The next shot can be a mid shot, and the next shot can be a close up of the person, or maybe the arts college, the steps, etc. So the person when he is moving, for example, when somebody is coming into the house, we have to take the shot from the outside of the house, maybe behind the subject. Second shot can be the inside view of the house when the person is coming into the house. So in that way you have to arrange the shots. Then continuity of the position of the character or the subject. So when you are joining two shots, generally in two shots the same person may be acting, but the person has to be there in the same position. So if somebody is walking, first shot wherever you are stopping, second shot should start from the action part from there only. So there must be continuity in the position. For example, if a person is delivering a dialogue or conversation between two characters, etc., the two characters must be in the same positions when the dialogues are delivered. When you are taking the reaction shots of close-ups, also the persons should be in the same positions. For example, if it is a single camera, physically when you are moving the camera from one direction to other direction, etc., the subjects should not move from the location from where they are standing, and they have to deliver the same dialogues, etc., then that is going to be recorded. And the continuity of sound, as I said just now, there must be continuity when you are joining the scenes of a particular location. When suppose if it is a conversation happening in your house, generally the same kind of music you have to play when the conversation is happening. And if you want to reveal some information, then you have to add a different music. So till that time the same sound should be there in the background. So continuity is continuity of the content, continuity of the position, continuity of the movement, then continuity of the sound must be maintained when you are joining the different shots in the timeline. When you are joining different kinds of shots, etc., you also use video transitions. There are four major transitions we use in films and also in television productions, etc. Those are cut, dissolve, fade, and wipe. So cut is a kind of instant replacement of one shot by another shot within the same location. For example, it is like blinking your eye. When you close and open your eye, it will look like same when you are looking at the subject. So in the same way, cut cannot be seen even though there is a cut in between the shots. So cuts are added only when the shooting is taking place in the same location at the same point of time. When you change the location, when you change the time, etc., there is a time lapse, etc., then you need to add different kinds of transitions. Dissolve is also used in between the shots. Generally, the one shot slowly disappears and the next shot will be going to appear on the screen. There is one point of time where the both the shots you can see. Generally, the dissolve is being used for 1 to 3 seconds. If it is more than that, it will confuse the audience. So between the shots, generally when a situation or the scene is changing from one place to another place, or when the time is changing, or sometimes if you want to show that the background or what imagination or the conversation which has happened earlier, if somebody is remembering, etc., those conversation, etc., in those kind of cases the dissolves are used. The first shot is slowly disappearing and the second shot is appears on the screen, and that will remain for some time. Fade, generally fade, you have two kinds of fades. One is fade in, second one is fade out. Fade in is nothing but when a subject is appearing from the black or blank. So generally fade ins are used at the beginning of any shot or beginning of any scene. Generally, fade outs are used at the end of the scene or at the end of the shot. So, if it is a fade in, generally from the black to on the screen, a subject appears, and if it is a fade out, the subject disappears from the screen to the black. Wipe. Wipe is complete replacement of one shot by another shot. When there is a drastic change is taking place, or when the complete scene disappears and the next scene is coming, etc., then in those kind of cases, these wipes are used. Complete replacement of one shot by another shot is called wipe. So all those video transitions are used in between the shots. To join these two shots, you may be using the cut, wipe, dissolve, fade in or fade out. So these are the video transitions we use during the editing stage of any film or a video production. So before editing, as I said, generally based on the time code, you have to prepare a log sheet. Based on the log sheet, you have to arrange your shots in the sequence based on the directions of the directions. The video editor is the one who is going to arrange the shots, the raw footage we have captured during the recording stage or production stage of a filmmaking or maybe a television program making. There are different kinds of editing modes. One is non-linear editing. Second one is linear kind of editing. But if it is a non-linear kind of editing mode, it is a computer-based editing mode where you can join different shots using the computer without maybe changing the rushes. So the rushes are generally copied to the system and there you are editing. So your original footage remains the same. You cannot be altering the original footage which you have recorded or captured during the recording stage. There is two types of editings. One is insert editing, second one is assemble editing. So in the assemble mode of kind of editing, etc., generally the video or footage is kept in layers one after the other, and wherever you need a cut. For example, if it is a interview between the two persons, etc., in the assemble mode of editing, what happens from the recording to the end, all this the footage, if you are capturing using three cameras, the three cameras output can be arranged in three layers of the video footage, and in between you can cut from one shot one layer to the another layer depending on your requirement. So if you want to use a wide shot, you have to cut the both the layers of the video footage. If you want the host or maybe the guest, etc., accordingly you have to switch. You have to cut the shots. In the insert mode of editing, what happens generally the raw footage will be lying over there, and you have to choose from where you want to where. So you have to bring that footage and you have to insert in your timeline. So all those shots, whatever are required, they have to inserted on the timeline. So that is insert editing, and one is assemble mode of editing. Generally, there are different layers of visual footage you can add on the timeline. For example, you must be knowing the Final Cut Pro. So it may enables you to add 99 layers of visual footage on top of each other. So in the same way, the audio footage also can be added below the visual footage in different layers. For example, it can be one audio, it can be which is recorded along with the visual. The second one can be the audio effects. Third one can be the background music. So the visual footage can be suppose three cameras footage. If it is one on one layer, the one camera footage is lying. The second layer, the second camera footage is there. At the third one, the third camera footage is there. So suppose if you want the first layer footage, you are keeping this first layer footage, and the remaining up whatever you have, that you the part you delete. And the next, if you want the first second layer footage, generally you on the top whatever is there, that is going to be played for the output. So second layer footage, if you want, the third layer footage you have to delete, the second will remain the same, and that will be going for the audience, whatever you see. Suppose if you want first, then you have to, on the top above whatever you have, that you have to cut and delete. So you are assembling on top of each other. For example, if it is a timeline, you have visuals. After that, if you want the titles above the visual footage itself, you are keeping one more layer of the titles, and both the title and the visual footage will play it together when you edit the film. So that is assemble mode of editing. But if it is a insert mode of editing, the timeline will be there. The raw footage is, suppose if it is 3 cameras output, you have to choose from where to where you have to cut the footage. That you keep on the timeline according to your requirement. If you want in between, add the footage whatever is required, that also can be inserted again in the insert mode of editing. These are the two ways in which you can edit the film in the non-linear editing systems. So here, if it is a non-linear editing, so why you are calling it as a non-linear editing? Generally, when a video or audio is edited using a computer, that is called non-linear editing. The most important aspect of non-linear editing is your raw footage, whatever is lying there is, that is safe. You are not altering, but the copy of that you are capturing it in your system, and that is going to be edited. So here, first thing, if you want to use a non-linear kind of editing, first thing, if it is being recorded in a VTR, maybe using a mini DV, etc., there is a wire called firewire. Using that firewire, you have to capture whatever is there in the DV to your computer. So the computer, non-linear editing suite computer, whatever you have, that is going to be there, which is used to capture the footage in the DVs using a firewire. So after the footage is captured into your systems, the raw footage, whatever is there on the tapes, that will be kept aside, and that is not been altered. So whatever you captured in your system, only that on that you are editing. So first thing is, as I said, in the post-production stage, based on your rushes, you have to prepare your log sheet. So based on the time code, you're looking at the time code, you have to prepare your log sheet. Based on the log sheet, you have to edit the film. So here, based on the log sheet, in the editing stage of film production or maybe television production, all the raw footage, whatever is needed for your final production, that is being arranged in the sequence. So when all these bins are ready with your footage, your titles and audio, etc., then that is going to be arranged in the final sequence. So as I said, the video footage, whatever you captured on the location, will have the ambience that will have lot of noise. So here in the editing stage, after arranging your visual footage, the required shot, whatever you needed for your final program, etc., all that visual footage is arranged in the sequence. Then you have to look for the audio. So audio, generally, if it is a film, generally the audio is dubbed, or maybe the audio is re-recorded. The dialogue part is again recorded in the dubbing studio. Generally, the artist, the dubbing artist, or maybe the actor or the actresses, whoever is acted in the film, etc., they may give their own voice. So in the dubbing studio, generally they will be having equipped with the video players along with the recording equipment will be there. So here again the actor or the dubbing artist will listening to the audio part, and after that the same dialogues are repeated by the dubbing artist or the actor. And here in the editing stage, when you are adding the audio, generally the visual footage, what along with that, whatever you have the audio, that is deleted, and the next the dubbed audio, whatever is there, that is lip synchronized with the original video. So after that, in between the shots, you must be adding the video transitions. So depending on your requirements, you have to add your video transitions. Then, if it is audio, generally the audio effects also added in between whenever is what you call needed. Then along with that, the background music. So each film, if you see, they have their own audio, background audio, which has been originally recorded on the recording stations. Then that is going to be added for the film at the final stage of the production. So here, if you see in the final timeline, you will have the visuals along with the your transitions. Along with that, if you have, suppose if it is subtitles, if you have to add in the sequence, etc., then the other layer of the titles may be there, and that is being added along with the visual footage that also simultaneously played when the final program is been exported. So here in the non-linear editing, generally when all the rushes are being dumped in your system, generally you will get a project. When you open a project, generally a timeline will be opening, and on that timeline or the sequence you are going to arrange your visual footage. So here the visual footage have the video part along with the audio. In video you may be having the titles and visuals. Along with that, if it is audio, you have the dialogue part, the original audio, along with that the audio effects and also the background music. So depending on your final program, etc., all the shots are added in the sequence. That is non-linear editing. So the importance, if you see the non-linear editing, the generation loss will not be there. Suppose if you are copying a number of times, generally a film, maybe the resolution may be going to change. But if it is a non-linear kind of editing mode, the generation loss will not be there, because you have already capturing, but the original footage you are not disturbing anywhere. So the generation loss will not be there. So when you are editing, you're using a non-linear edit suite, etc., after the end of the program, etc., EDL means edit decision list is being prepared automatically. It is generated by the non-linear editing suite. EDL will have a list of shots which you have arranged in the sequence, the original source of the footage, the audio, the original audio from where you have picked up, original soundtracks or maybe the background music, and from where you have taken into the final sequence, etc. So all that will be there in the EDL. So based on this EDL, if you want to make, or maybe if you want to again edit the film, etc., that will enable the producer or the director to edit the film again and again. They can modify the film also if they want. So that is, so after arranging your shots in the sequence, after arranging your shots, the visual shots and also the audio visual effects, sound effects, audio, everything after arranging in the sequence, a file is going to be exported for the audience. So a file can be exported in the form of DVD or CD, or it can be in any electronic device. That film is being saved, then that is going to be carried and it will be transmitted for the audience using your different kinds of mediums.